Assalamu alaikum everybody, my name is Samar Hasan and I'm the founder of Epiphany. जैसे कि आप लोग जानते हैं मैं समर हूँ और Epiphany मेरे इदारे का नाम है और पिछले साल से हमने गेमिंग की तरफ बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट दिखाया था, बहुत ज़्यादा हमने शौक से वेबिनार्स की सीरीज स्टार्ट की, सेलिब्रिटी गेम जैम किया, डेवलपर्स गेम जैम किया और वंडर वुमेन इन द गेमिंग वर्ल्ड का हमने सीरीज स्टार्ट की. So the first one happened in June of last year, and it just came about because actually I ended up having a manel, and I am one of the biggest, I'm the biggest advocates of actually having gender diversity. So I thought, okay, before we do the manel, which accidentally happened because none of the women founders would confirm. So I said, okay, why don't we do a WANL, a completely only women specific, panel focused on Wonder Women in the gaming world. And that has just become a series. And today I'm super, super excited because in line with just the gender diversity and inclusion that Epiphany abides to, in addition to that, what we are doing is something fantastic. We've got 2 back-to-back panels lined up for you. The first one is extremely diverse, and so is the next one. And I can't wait to introduce you to everybody. So voila, this is the reveal. Hello, everybody. How are you? Okay, awesome. Half the people are muted, so go ahead and unmute yourselves. And, I am going to jump to the introduction. So I know that time is short. We've got a full panel today. So very short, and I guess, just go ahead and introduce yourself. Who wants to go first? Olubukola?
Hi, everyone. My name is Olubukola Akingbade. I'm the founder and CEO of KuchezaGaming. We're a games and esports company for K-12 in Nigeria. So we're a cross between games, career pathways, and education. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely. We're thrilled to have you. What about you, Nesligul?
Hi, you can call me Nestle. It's much better, like a chocolate brand, maybe. So my name is Nestle. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. I am the head of education of Florenti Esports, which is an edtech company based in Uppsala, Sweden. But we work with all around the world. So it's an education solution, all-in-one solution for esports mainly. I am also a researcher, an esports researcher, doing my PhD and doing lots of non-governmental projects related to game rights of younger students.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, next, moving forward, Christina.
Hi, I'm Christina Amaya. I'm head of events at Team Liquid. I'm also vice chair for the board of directors for the IGDA. And I run my own non-for-profit called Latinx in Gaming, helping elevate Latinos in the gaming industry. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely delighted to have you. And where are you joining us from today?
Los Angeles.
Okay, awesome. All right. Next, we've got Nuki.
Hi guys, my name is Izzy. I'm the general manager for the Overwatch and the Valorant division on Cloud9 Esports, an esports team also based here in LA.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we've got Allie Young.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. My name is Allie Young. I'm the CEO and founder of Axis Replay here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are essentially, you can think of Axis Replay as a Topgolf for video games and esports. We're very much involved and a huge advocate, of course, for females in gaming. And we're, our space is built around diversity and inclusion. A lot of places, a lot of gaming spaces kind of smell like 12-year-old boys' feet. And, one of the things that we really strove for with our space was to create a really nice gaming experience for all. And that's what Axis Replay is about. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive introduction. And we can't wait to hear more. And next, Amna, would you like to introduce yourself too?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am Amna, also known online as Muki. I am the first female Emirati professional gamer to pursue esports as a career. And I'm also the team captain for the organization called Galaxy Racer Esports that is based in Dubai. And it's the GXR Female Academy team that is solely focused on recruiting girls that want to become professional gamers and want to pursue esports as a career.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And fantastic going, by the way. I'm super impressed by all of you because I'm terrible at games. I'm admitting this openly. I've admitted it before as well. But that doesn't stop me from trying to encourage other women to go ahead and pursue this. And definitely very passionate about global game jams and, game jams in general and stuff like that. And I think that's something which I want to hear more from Bukola. So Bukola, tell us a little bit, how did you enter this field? Why did you enter this field? And then we'll just make our way through the same clockwise, order.
Cool. Thank you, Samar. So for me, to be honest, my background is in marketing, core marketing and brand management. And I'm a mom, I've got 3 children, 14, 11, and 8. And what I observed in their pattern of behavior was this evolving and love and desire for video games. The more I looked into the data and the analytics, the more I realized it's the same for a lot of kids they age in terms of playing, but also in terms of viewing on YouTube. The influencers of my kids anyway are people that I don't see on the big screen on TV, right? They're people they're YouTube influencers and things from games. So for me, I got really curious about it. I started looking into it. I attended a lot of seminars. At the end of the day, though, for Africa, which is the way I'm based, it became really clear that we cannot compete in terms from an infrastructure perspective, right, with Europe or with the US or with Asia. And so the mobile esports allows us or gives us some element for competition. That's on the one hand, but the other side also is where the young population as a continent. And it was important for us in looking at where we would place ourselves to kind of say, how do we empower the next generation with skills, digital skills, and also digital confidence to kind of go forward to create, but also even play, right? So that's what got us here. So essentially my kids pushed me into this, and data, of course.
That's fantastic. Okay, my daughter is not too pleased with me, by the way, because her and her friends are always playing Roblox and she's very good. And even at Minecraft, right? So yesterday she was showing me all the worlds that she's created. And to my dismay, one of her friends, his mom is excellent, right? And she keeps giving me, she keeps comparing me to her. And I'm just like, okay, dude, no, you cannot do this.
Yeah, I'm the cool mom with my kids, friends and parents. So yeah, I understand what you mean completely.
Okay, same question for you, Nestle.
Should we maybe introduce Laurie, who just joined the stream?
Yes. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No worries, no worries. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly and tell us what you do?
Sure. So my name is Laurie Bajork, and I'm the president of the National Esports Association in the United States. And my job is to help create the infrastructure needed for esports in education. And also, I heard you guys talking about Minecraft and like my favorite game ever. So I have the coolest job on the planet Earth. Sorry, guys, because that's what I get to do for a living.
Absolutely,
for Laurie, because I think we're all in the same boat.
No, I still got the coolest job. Sorry, but it's okay. We'll compare notes later. It's awesome.
That's right.
I'm happy to be here, and thanks for including me.
Okay, so by the way, considering we're talking about games as well, so let me just ask quickly, what are your favorite games? So Nestle, tell us about why you entered the field, and also just quickly tell us which game you play.
Sure, definitely. So it's I've always been a gamer. I started playing board games. I'm still an avid board game player. I design board games myself, for-profit and non-for-profit, generally for NGOs and children games. And I play lots of video games too, but I never thought that this might be an actual viable career option. So when I was doing my master's, I was searching for a good topic to research, and I just said, okay, I love gaming, so it might be a good use of my time. I will do what I like. So once I finished my thesis, I just found out during the research that there are ample possibilities to do and actually make a decent living out of it. So then I started writing articles, and I started with content writing, event management, and lastly, I found my dream job, which is learn to esports, because I'm an educational designer also, like a learning design. So this is where I combine my love of every kind of game plus the really high quality educational content that I really believe everyone has a right to access. So game rights, educational rights, gaming, everything put together. I feel like I'm the luckiest person alive, but maybe I have to compete on that with Laurie. But we'll see. What I play at the moment, since I'm writing like lots of different curriculums and drills for lots of games, I play almost everything that we design the lessons for. But personally, I like Dota 2. I play League. I love Diablo. Like, I'm a huge fan of Diablo, like a guilty pleasure kind of get up in the middle of the night, play hiding from your husband kind of fan. I play lots of board games. I have a huge collection of board games, which I know not everyone is fond of, but like really 2-3 hours strategy games kind of board games. So I'm really hoping that I can elevate like the hype on board games, just like the digital ones. But yeah, I would play anything and everything. So,
you know, I may join you on the board game side. I'm not so bad. Okay. So when I said I'm bad at other games, I meant other games, right? So even like Mario Brothers, I always lose. But anyway, okay. So moving on, Christina, tell us about you.
Oh, so sorry, I'm getting pinged at Slack. So I started in the gaming industry when I was a kid. I started playing World of Warcraft with my friends and became a guild leader back in 2004, 2005 or something like that. And then I played League of Legends in college, started an esports team, started a club, and I started, I don't know, after that, just a lot of events, started New York City League of Legends, which became 10,000 people strong. DC League of Legends, which became 5,000 people strong, did Pokemon Go walks. And as I was doing all of that stuff, usually on the side, I never really thought to myself, oh, I can work in gaming, right? It never really occurred to me because especially you would see at E3, you would see at conferences, white men on the stage, and they would be talking about their games and their studios, and you never thought, that could be me, right? And so one day it actually took, unfortunately, a white man telling me, you can work in gaming for me to realize that that could have been something I wanted to do. So, you know, it's a shame it went that way. But my kind of plea or like what I'm doing from now on is to say that women belong in gaming, and not just that, but Latinos as well belong in gaming. We all belong here, right? Every single person here has a job in gaming, is doing something to make a difference. And I want to make sure that I'm upholding that for not just myself, but for younger women after us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And it doesn't matter. I'm so glad that guy directed you in the right, in the right direction, pointed you there. So absolutely wonderful. So before Cholwe, is that how you pronounce your name? Because I could see you coming and going. So would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do? Could you hear me? Cholwe? Cholwe? How do you pronounce your name? I'm not sure. Am I audible? Maybe I am.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think her video is pausing. Yeah.
I think so too. Okay, so I'll just message her on the side, but let's keep going. Okay, Izzy, you're next.
Okay, so I got my start in gaming basically from being a competitive player. I played Heroes of the Storm semi-competitively, and I played Overwatch semi-competitively. So I started like making my own teams, like applying for teams, and then I basically slipped into tournament organizing. Did a few of my own tournaments in the Overwatch scene in Europe, and had like, it was basically my side projects more or less, because I had a education in teaching. I was an elementary school teacher before. And hi, this is my cat. He wants attention too.
Yeah, well, typical male, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting around.
And I basically progressed from there. It was like a pretty like even curve from doing organizing freelancing and doing like working for different companies to help them get their tournaments on board in Overwatch, to getting introduced to the right people, and then basically getting hired for Cloud9 3 years ago. So I've been working with players and basically can leverage my educational background working with elementary school children, now working with esports players, which are kind of the same thing, just a few years apart. So.
Okay, Cholwe. So I think now you can hear us and we're communicating. So go, you're next.
Yes. Okay, guys. Sorry about the internet. My name is Cholwe Shabukali, and I run Gematrix. We are based in Zambia, and currently we are the first esports organization in the country, which is a really big deal. It's got its pros and cons. Due to the fact that everything had to start with us pioneering esports in the country, breaking the cultural barriers and the stereotypes of family when it comes to the gamers. So yeah, and also I've also faced a lot of issues because of me being a girl, and trying to engage a lot of partners and people to join the organization and be part of the team in terms of sponsorships and so on. It's been very tricky because of me being a female. But it's something that I'm really passionate about because I've been a gamer since I was like 6 years old. I started playing Mortal Kombat and Tekken as a kid. Then I went into PC gaming when I was in high school. So gaming has been part of my background, and I've really wanted to do a business out of it. So what really motivates me, despite all the challenges, is that I'd really love to create a sustainable ecosystem for esports within Zambia, and see how best I can also help connect Zambia with other parts of the region as well, and the world eventually, so that we can make more like a network of esports, especially when it comes to women in gaming, because we have tried locally, for example, to host a couple of events for women, but it's been very, very tricky because most of the guys here, I should say, are not really comfortable with female gamers. Let me just say there's been a lot of hostility towards engaging female gamers into the community. So you have to be a really headstrong girl for you to actually survive in the community and just enjoy your lifestyle of gaming. We've had the situation drop out of the community because of the hostility around them being involved. So I'm really also working on trying to create a safe space for us to really enjoy our talents and our lifestyle of gaming. So that's really a passion for me as well. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And our team has done pretty well as well. We've won over 6 championships in the region, and we've got players based in the US and Zambia, and we compete in Mortal Kombat, FIFA, PUBG Mobile, and Call of Duty Mobile. Yeah.
Wow, that is very, very impressive. And really happy to have you, and so glad that your internet did not get disrupted. So I had mentioned right at the beginning what a diverse panel we've got, and you guys can totally see this. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Zambia. And next we've got Allie. Yes, Allie.
Hey guys, first and foremost, just thank you so much for having me on this panel. Like when I look at all the faces here and to see how much innovation and just tenacity that you all have to kind of work your way into this environment, and it's just so impressive. And so I'm just very grateful and thankful to be part of the conversation. How I got into gaming, I guess we can start with let me start with telling you, I actually met my husband playing video games 20 years ago. The original game, the OG game, was EverQuest. And when, so gaming's always been part of date night for us, right? And when we had eventually our daughter, Sarah, it was also board games and game days were family days. And when we took my daughter to her first Barnes and Noble, she was always an Amazon baby. She was 8 at the time. And she said to me, "Mama, what would be really cool is if there was a place like this, but with video games and computers and cookies and cupcakes." So she actually started writing, ended up getting in the back of the car, writing up the business plan for what is now Access Replay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really impressive. But, we met, gaming was such a connection point for us, right, as a family. And one of the things that I found, people we met online were people who were in our wedding, right? We went on vacations with them, like they were friends and real life friends and family. But I will never forget the first time that we played in person together, right? There we were, beers at the ready. We had, we're lined up in a row, 6 people in a row, and we're all on headsets and comms, but it was there was this experience of being able to like yell at each other or, you know, cheer each other on and high fives all around. And I knew that we had something special. And so, you know, that's what we built Access Replay around, is that experience of joy. And that's kind of the, like, how we kind of got into what this business is.
Thank you so much, Ali. And I think your daughter is super impressive as well. Like mom, like daughter. Wow.
Thank you.
Super cool. Okay, so before Lori drops off, because her internet is also giving her trouble. So Lori, would you like to tell us a little about your journey? How did you end up in this field?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm terribly sorry. I have no idea what's going on my end. But basically, I love all your stories, and mine is kind of similar. I kind of kid that I was in esports before esports was even a word. And it goes back to creating educational outcomes and pathways to success for gamers. We started seeing a lot of kids being criticized and parents telling them to get off their computers, stop playing video games. And I started to look at the educational component of it and discovered a game called Minecraft before it was actually out there. So it was in beta version. And we did our first class and 0 children signed up. And I kept recruiting them over because I thought it was the most brilliant game ever. And then as we started to look at the assessment of, you know, children learning through Minecraft and the educational components, and then all of a sudden it came out on Xbox, it became a household name. And then all of a sudden esports, you just started to watch the development of gamers actually creating their own voice. And when I became the president of the National Esports Association in America 2 years ago, I thought it was a lot more advanced in the educational sector and even the K through 12 market, but then the collegiate market. So really, my claim to fame is helping to create that pathway to success for gamers and giving them a voice and dealing a lot with parents. I heard a lot of that your children are into esports. I have a senior in high school. He was very much into esports, but really changing the whole conversation so that we understand that there are pathways to success for this. And it is not just kids eating cheese puffs, you know, Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew in their basements. It's a pathway, and I keep using that expression. So that's kind of my short story of how I've been doing this. And you asked earlier, obviously I'm a big Minecraft fan, and I will take anybody on in Fortnite if anybody wants to play me.
Okay, I will happily decline, but the other ladies are welcome to say yes. Okay. So look, you've highlighted some of the very, you know, interesting challenges which we see in Pakistan quite often as well, right? And I'm sure it's the same with Amna. So Amna, maybe let's jump to you and talk about how was your journey? How did you end up doing what you're doing?
So basically, I've always loved gaming since a very young age, and ever since I owned the Game Boy Yellow, the Game Boy Color, I think, the small one. Yeah, so since then, I just was completely hooked on gaming. I owned almost every Nintendo console, I guess, like from Game Boy Advance, from Wii, Wii U, DS, 3DS, like everything. So, and I was always a laptop gamer all my life. And recently I made my own custom PC gaming, and I always played League of Legends on my small laptop with an external mouse. And here's a funny story. When I first started the game, I was playing the game with the laptop trackpad. I was not even using an external mouse. I was using the laptop trackpad. So I guess that's my journey. So I like gaming, and I started from League of Legends, and I was like, why not have this as a career? I also even pursued my bachelor and master's degree in like the computer field, like software engineering degree, in hopes of making my own game. But I was like, why make my own game if I can become a professional gamer, maybe like the first in my country? And I never imagined that could be a possibility to be one of the first female Emirati gamers to be in the country. And I made it happen, I guess. I got the opportunity, and someone called me and was like, hey, are you interested to be one of the first female team in your country? I was like, okay, sure, why not? Let's try this out. And it happened back in 2019. And we gave it a try, and here I am right now.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Amna, for sharing as well. Okay, so who else wants to share, or should we move on to the next question? Would somebody want to share? Or should we move? Okay, we're moving. Okay, so look, I want to ask you guys, right? What's the funniest question that you've been asked? Because some people just don't understand that this can be a professional career, and I'm sure you've come across that as well. So have there been any funny questions that have come your way and you're just kind of, they're confused what you do?
Always. Is your boyfriend in charge here? Are you here to be with somebody? Oh, are you somebody's girlfriend? Or are you a streamer? Which is not an insult, but it also implies that the only career I could have is to be a streamer in this space, and not that I'm in charge of the activation going on or that I have any other different positions. So, or if I'm single, that's always another really fun one that I really do not enjoy getting.
Any other people who want to share what happens? Izzy, you're unmuted.
I was going to say, Izzy, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I get the question all the time, like, how do you spell esports? So I'm like, I always think that's pretty funny. And then I also get people who tell me they want to start an esports club, and then I ask them what game, and they tell me esports. So I'm like, we really need to like get beyond that conversation that I have all the time. So I always have to kind of gauge my audience and like, is this esports 101, or do we have some serious gamers in the room that I'm insulting because I explained to them that they misspelled esports? So that's what I have that conversation way too often and always have to chuckle.
So we raised
yes, go ahead.
We raised $1.5 million to open our first Access Replay, or I did. But I remember one of the first early meetings that I had with an investor where he said, so is your husband part of this company? And I said, well, if I was a man, would you ask if my wife was part of this company, and would that have any relevance? And he was like, oh, but I think that was probably one of the very first encounters that I had that really kind of showed me how challenging it is, or to do that type of stuff.
So Allie, you know what? It's really funny, but I have exactly the same story. This gentleman who kept asking me, I think at least I made him repeat his question 5 times because he kept asking me, so who's the real co-founder? Who's the real co-founder? And I said, I think that would be me because I left my job first. And finally I told him, yes, there is a man who's my original partner in Epiphany as well. And okay, so that settled him. And he's like, okay. So finally he could put me in that little box that he had created. And I was like, okay, offended, but whatever, right? Sometimes you chuckle, sometimes you don't. What about you, Bukola? And that's my next question, by the way. So, how do you tackle this?
So for us, there are layers of problems or issues. So one is, what everybody has said in terms of the understanding or the gender bias. But I think first, the main issue here is a lot of parents, schools, almost everyone doesn't get the concept of esports. And so when you say esports, it's literally always 101, trying to get everyone to understand video games. So the main question I get is, is it gambling? I'm like, why would I be asking kids to gamble? Like, how is that even related? But when they hear gaming, they tend to think gambling, which is weird, but it's one of the things we now have to tackle. But for us, it's that cultural barrier, because as parents, like you mentioned, Samar, it's tough. You think your kids are playing video games, they're wasting their time, right? And here, most parents, even in terms of subjects in school, they want their kids to focus on maths and English. Not even science is not, we're not really sure, right? Because they really believe that those core courses is where the kids should focus. So now coming in video games is like a whole world away from what they're trying to hear, and that is the major challenge we've been doing. We're doing that with a lot of education through schools, directly with parents as well. But to your point, Laurie, about Minecraft is amazing, but we're also, the other point in terms of what we do with schools is to show the other potential career pathways and trying to get schools to take up the point of having other roles and having like team managers, coordinators, and things like that within schools to give some context. With our school esports league, actually, you are right, you know, gender representation is very low. Although we have girls who have indicated that they want to play, and we encourage that, and you know, the boys are quite cool. But I think one of the things we're thinking about doing is to just also establish a standalone track, just to kind of encourage girls a bit more within the school system and even outside of that. But yeah, so that's been our experience here. It's more cultural around the whole mindset of learning outside of normal school maths and English.
No, I think that's very interesting, because that's definitely something that I'm happy to explore with you separately as well, to see how we can do this at the primary and secondary education level in Pakistan. So my daughter, obviously being, you know, she started using Scratch to make games, and now there's a little bit of interest in her school already, which is fantastic. But Izzy, I know that you haven't spoken for a very long while, so I'm coming to you, and then I'm going to jump to Nestle. So think about what you want to say, Nestle.
Yeah, so can you rephrase the question again?
So basically, we were just talking about, you know, what sort of challenges you faced. You know, we started off by, you know, okay, what are some funny anecdotes? But I think really we're talking about what are the sort of challenges that you've come across.
Yeah, so esports in Germany, where I'm originally from and where I started my career at, is kind of sketchy. Like, nobody really understands yet what like esports entails. We do have a like bigger esports association now, like that developed over the last like 1 or 2 years. But when I started, it was really hard to explain to people like what esports is and how am I working in the field of gaming, because it was only like, of course, game developers were known, and then like streamers, YouTubers were known. But like the whole concept around esports, and especially like having women in esports and working there and having like professional players, was really hard for people to understand still. So I would always like try to compare ourselves to basically like normal sports teams, like football clubs or like other similar clubs, and people were always very hard to understand when it comes to, oh, that's something you can do, oh, that's something that also like women can work in, and there's also female professional gamers. That's so exciting. And they tried to spark the conversation about how nice it is that females can also play it, but there was always like this weird undertone of, oh, you are in a mixed team, you are not in a like complete women league like it is in football or something. There was something that always struck me like the wrong way, kind of, because they were like so amazed about it rather than like seeing it as a normal like baseline thing.
Yes, I'm going to move to Nestle, but I think what you're saying is absolutely apt, right? And this is coming from Germany, so I mean, I think this is something which is across the border, across the countries, across the globe. This is a challenge which stays. What about you, Nestle?
Yeah, I'm going to be coming from in between Europe and Asia, I guess, from very Bosphorus, Istanbul. So yeah, it has been a challenge because, as you know, Turkey is a predominantly Muslim country, but again, it's also like so in between. I'm in Istanbul, so it's pretty, like our esports and gaming scene is pretty huge. Like Riot has a base here. We have like, I think we're the #1 in the mobile game development worldwide. So gaming is not news to us, but still like being a female leader is news in everywhere, like not only in gaming, everywhere. So no one expects me, which I look incredibly young, I know, like even younger than I am, and you know, no one expects me to be in charge. I'm sure that we have all the same stories, just like Christina. Everyone immediately turns to my husband when it comes to anything. So I wrote about it in the Women's Day, like I wrote a post about it. Like I only accept heartfelt congratulations of Women's Day from people who do not address directly to my husband about things that I am incredibly capable of answering. So no one expects me to know about gaming, not esports, definitely not management at all. So it's been a journey. It's been fun to tackle all the stereotypes. So I'm just making the best of it, I guess. I'm not trying to take it too seriously because it can get you down. It's a really patriarchal industry. Like many industries, but yeah, I'm not a professional gamer, so I can't even imagine how it is to be in the actual, like the pro scene of things. But even in the like backseat of things, it's very difficult. So, but my experience is very diverse. Like I live in Turkey, Istanbul, but I work with Sweden and US. So I have lots of notes to compare. Sweden is super cool about it. Everyone is like, yeah, you're a female. Why do you even tell this? Fine. Like it's nothing, no big deal at all. And since I'm so accustomed to fighting this, like proving myself, like I'm good, but you know, they don't even care. So it's been a weird, you know, confrontation thing. Why did I struggle all my life if this is such a non-important issue? And then, yeah, US is a bit more tricky, I guess. Lots of layers. I'm not sure. Maybe like Lori, Christina, Allie can talk better about the US side of things. But yeah, for Istanbul, for my country, what I'm trying to do is we have started an academy, an Esports and Gaming Academy, just like Olubukola does. We are trying to teach. So I divide everything in two phases. One is esports education and one is esports in education. So one, we have classes. We especially encourage women players to come and join. We teach how to be professional athletes and how to excel in European games. And the other is we try to teach esports ecosystem, like professions, like streaming, like marketing, but especially for esports and gaming. And we also try to create like boot camps and small, like a shorter learning experiences for younger audiences, using games as a tool to teach them about 21st century skills, STEM education. And we are trying really hard to push this in the curriculum, national curriculum within high schools, which will be a challenge, I'm sure. But yeah, someone has to try somewhere. We have to write some petitions. We have to, you know, shake up some stuff for us to excel. It's not going to be in my lifetime, I assume, but hopefully the next generation will have a more gaming-friendly learning experience.
It'll be in your lifetime. Okay, Nestle, I think,
know.
come on, look at all of us.
Yeah.
At least I can be optimistic. At least we can try. But look, I'm going to jump over and see whether you guys want to still continue sharing challenges. So Cholwe, we didn't hear back from you, and Amna. So I'm curious to hear that. And then maybe let's jump to strategies, right? So how are we supposed to overcome some of these challenges that we come across again and again? So Cholwe, do you want to go first?
I'll go second.
Okay. Okay. Amna, go ahead.
So the challenge is how to overcome them. Basically, it's a very simple solution. Just ignore. Just ignore. Like whatever you hear, just take it out of the other ear. Just completely ignore. I know it's very hard to some females to ignore like all the criticism that's coming from males in general. And yeah, I've had some criticism as well. There are some challenges, not just from males, also like from family. Like some families are kind of strict and they don't like accept like esports to be a career for their daughter or something like that. So they just have to be like really, really strong, and they just need to simply ignore and just do whatever they want to do and just prove to everyone else that they were wrong and we can do what we want.
You know, so it's very interesting, but in Pakistan as well, that's what we say, that you have two ears, just, you know, hear it from one and take it out from the other one, just let it pass through, straight channel.
We have the
just
same
let it
thing in Turkish.
Yeah, you're just saying, okay, but still, right? So at times it can be bothersome. And also, I don't know if you guys feel it or not, but I've sure felt many, many times that I have to do extra hard, put in extra hours, put on my game face all of the time, because if I fail, it's like, oh my God, I'm failing the whole of womanhood, which I know that it's just, maybe it's just too much pressure that I've built on myself. But I'm curious to hear whether you guys feel the same, and, you know, or not. I mean, it could be either way. So I know that Cholwe, you wanted to go next.
Yeah, I agree with what she said. You have to have thick skin and be a bit resilient, because this isn't the first time that a lot of women or girls have faced this type of pushover from the male dynamic. So even in gaming, we first signed a girl to our team to be a content creator, and some guys in the community made a meme about her, you know, and because of that, she had to like, you know, take some time out of gaming because of how she felt. And there was also another time when some gentlemen posted something about there was a female Tekken tournament that was promoted to try and engage women. So what happened was some gentlemen posted something on Facebook that I cannot repeat, but it was implying a way that whenever women in Zambia or girls go to tournaments, they just go there to look for guys. That's the best way I can summarize it with being polite. So because of that, when the tournament came up, only 2 girls showed up, and there were about over 100 signups, and only 2 showed up in person. So I think it's a problem that we have to solve forward, but we also have to solve it in a way that we encourage young girls to be strong-willed and very resilient, so that no matter what happens, they are not pushed over to stop what they love to do. And you know, also I feel like what Bukola is also doing, you know, the academy, what you guys are doing with the academies in Istanbul and Nigeria, I think it was Istanbul, right? I feel like we have to kind of educate the next generation on how to feel like they're gamers. We shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm a girl gamer, oh, I'm a guy gamer. We should just feel comfortable being gamers in the same ecosystem. So the more we teach the younger generation within the foundation, which is the school where they get to be taught every day, I think there can be some form of change that can be started. But for now, we can encourage ourselves in our networks and our communities to be strong-willed and just enjoy ourselves and be ourselves and not be afraid to do what we love to do.
Well, thanks very much. And I think I'm going to jump to Lori, because Lori, you know, you've been working on building inclusive community for gamers. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about how you do that?
This is that whenever I'm on a panel and anybody ever asks me these questions, you know, my heart goes out to all females in general. I've been in a male-dominated world my entire life, and you know, I have a very large husband who I've heard all of your stories. And what I always tell people is, if you really want to create a world that is diverse and inclusive, you have to lead by example. So as the president of the National Esports Association, I think, you know, it's like when I walk in the room, I automatically gain a certain kind of like double take, but then all of a sudden it's like they see that I'm serious and that I'm in it to win it. And what I do is, if I see someone, especially if I'm going into a gaming environment and it's, you know, 99 men playing against 1 woman, the woman's going to get my attention. And I always, always, always make sure that the minority in the room feels that they have the majority of my attention. And that's how you create an inclusive and diverse thing. It's a welcoming committee, and you have to do it. And as I guess I kind of take it a little bit for granted now. And it wasn't until I started hearing the stories and I'm like, wait, I've already been there. I've already done that. I've been in a male dominated world my entire life. So I fought those battles. So now I stopped fighting and I just start telling the story, and I start going to the people that I see need their help and their voice, and giving people voices. And I just look at all of you and I see amazing stories, amazing voices. And if we all start collaboratively coming together and really, truly just being present and making sure that we hear each other and we lift each other up. And Samar, what you actually said about being a female and actually feeling that you have to overwork and overrepresent, that's what we do. You know, we're nurturers, we're mothers, we're partners, and we always are those types of people. And we have to understand one thing, that in order to do that, remember, if you are the only woman in the room, then it's our responsibility to find another one and to keep bringing people in and to make it an inclusive and diverse environment. I'll tell one story. When I started in a Minecraft camp and a girl would come to camp and I tell the mom, I'm like, she's probably going to be the only woman in the room or the only girl in the room. And I said, but I'm going to make sure that she doesn't feel like she's alone, and I'm going to make her feel welcome. And I'm proud to say, with all of the programs that we're running, we're at 50 to 60% females. And that is how you create an inclusive and diverse environment, by leading by example and never, ever wavering from what you believe in. We are a powerful force, and we have a very loud voice in the gaming community. And I think it's just a matter of us sticking together and doing what you just did, Samar. Like, you brought us together, and every one of you, and like, I'm honored to be on this panel. And whatever I can do to help and support your stories and your journeys, you know, reach out and make sure that we work together inclusively. I don't know if you guys in other countries have a saying. We call them soccer moms in America. And I think we need to become esports moms, because that's where the voice is going to really truly come from.
Yes, absolutely. Agreed 100%. And I think I'm very happy, Lori, that maybe we should also, you know, do another session, which is offline with both the panels, getting them together. So we'll do that. But I just want to make a quick note here, right? Because so I'm not the one who put together this panel. So Wonder Women last year, how it came about, yes, I pushed for it. I said, no, we cannot possibly do this panel and whatever. But this one, Asad, who's sitting at the back end, so he just kind of, you know, went crazy finding people, and Zoya and all of that, right? So I think there is also that role that men can play as allies, and we need to find them because they exist. It's just that sometimes they're not very familiar with all the problems that we're facing. So Christina, I'm going to jump to you because I know that you faced this and you would have some strategies as well to, you know, overcome. So in your experience, what do you do, or what have you done, you know, to tackle this?
I'm going to contradict some of what was said earlier. Although, Lori, all of your points 100% on the same page. Let's find the other women in the room and let's make sure we're all on the same page. But I'm going to say that here in the United States, I would not recommend you ignore men and in the ear one out the other, because you know what? I used to do that. And recently, and I'm going to be very honest, in the Me Too movement, I found out that younger women were affected by the men I ignored. They were affected by the men that had done things to me. They were affected by the men that I was not interacting with. And because I ignored those men and I didn't make a stand and I wasn't there, young women were affected. And women like 5 or 6 years younger than me, and even probably others. We as women should say something. We should tell people that they cannot treat us a certain way. And I cannot speak to how it is in your country, Amna. I cannot say where it's going. But what I can tell you is that here, I will not tolerate how a man talks to a woman if it is a negative thing. I will not tolerate sexual harassment. I will not tolerate that. And I expect men to do, like, if men are watching this, if men are paying attention, you need to be better allies if you are not already. You need to speak up when you see a woman is being talked to a certain way. You need to talk to them in a certain manner. You need to make sure that what you're saying is reflective of the fact that women belong in the space just as much as they do. So apologies for contradicting you, Amna. I know that you mean the best. I just have been in this industry for about 10 years, and I have seen the negative impact that ignoring things has had. That's what I would say. I
actually would like to jump in. I started off like Amna, like this is maybe a more Eastern perspective. I'm not sure, like keep your head down, like for me at least, like let's just ignore, it's not worth the hustle. And then I, just like Christina said, found out that if they don't give me respect, I will demand and take my respect because I deserve it. So there is no other way. They will not give you the respect that you deserve if you don't ask them. So not to take anything for granted, even if I'm super successful, which I think I am, they will not immediately assume that, you know, say that. So let's just take the respect to our own hands, even if there is no abuse, even if all the people in the room are super friendly. If they don't show you what you deserve, if they don't give you what you deserve, you have to take it from them, which I really have incredible allies with me. Like I am at the university right now. We are doing the academy in the university. I'm giving lessons. And in the next room I see them, like this is my team of wonderful men watching me, university students but they're incredible of helping me. But this is how they changed. They told me that they didn't have a female manager before who is really knowledgeable of both games and managing, which is great. So now their perspective changed. So now they expect this to be a normal thing. So they will tell to their friends. It's a circle, like a ripple effect, you know, it will go. I definitely do believe targeting the female in the room and helping them out, mentorship, friendship, whatever we can offer. But also when it comes to allies, if you show them that this type of a female leader is out there in the world and it can create incredible things, then okay, they will normalize this and tell them to their immediate acquaintance, and just create a ripple effect, I think. Yeah.
So so I think that both of you have very interesting. Everybody, I think, over here, we've got different, experiences as well in the kind of culture that we belong to or the communities that we come from. But sometimes what I've noticed is it depends on how I'm feeling that particular day. If I have time to engage, this is the same as a Twitter war, right? So if you have time to engage on some stupid tweet that somebody's tweeted, you say, at least this is what I do. I look at it and I say, do I have 2 hours to engage with this person or with these people because there's going to be a back and forth? And I'll do it. Or if I feel that it is something so wrong that if I don't speak up, this is going to continue and this is going to really harm people, then I'll do it. But at times you're just kind of like, okay, you know what? This person has done this before. We've already tried speaking to this person. It didn't really work out. Okay, ignore. Right? So now you put them in a little box. You also box them. And you say, okay, now we're going to ignore them. Nobody's going to engage with them. And that's it. You boycott people. So I don't know. So I think it also matters on what the situation looks like. Right?
It's a really humane reaction to box it up. But if we take on the responsibility, which I personally do, we don't have the luxury to ignore things. That's my opinion. Like, we have to be, even though if we don't have the energy to fight with them, like when there is smoke, there is fire. So even a small joke on Twitter, which you don't want to be engaged in, if you don't correct that, if you don't put it out there, that might affect someone, maybe not you. It might be a small joke to you, but it might be an actual problem for someone, another female counterpart. So sadly, I now take this as a responsibility in all aspects of life. It's very tiresome, I know it is, but we don't have the luxury to do so at this point. Hopefully in the future we would, like, we can just laugh at it if it's not such a fundamentally big problem in life, in all aspects of life. We can just laugh it up, but at this point I personally don't think I have the luxury to do so.
Yeah, I can see.
But I understand. It's a very humane thing to box things up, so I understand.
Izzy, go ahead. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, something that I want to add to this, and something that is like also a stigma around like women in general, is you shouldn't be discouraged to tell people like directly and to communicate honestly with them, especially if it's men in the space, even if it's women in the space, you feel like are treating you differently. Like, this is not only like a man problem. This is not only a white male problem. This is a problem that we're facing like on the daily most of the time. And don't be discouraged to be called like bitchy, or to be called like you're just having a phase, you're just on your period or something. Like, this is something that people are intimidated by, and if you show your strength and if you show like what you're standing for and standing your ground, this is the best thing you can do. And don't be discouraged by others telling you you're just doing this because you have this hormonal change or something. Like, this is not what we're gonna do. We're gonna be here to change this, and we're going to be here to stand our ground and make our mark in the scene, and not necessarily just because we want to, but because it's needed for also other females and to encourage them.
Completely agreed. Thank you, Izzy, for adding that. Okay, who else wants to add something? Allie?
Sure. Being in the business world and being a CEO, I have a lot of men in the industry who work for me, and a lot of times I'll be talking to a group of people, and my 6'4" blonde, blue-eyed, German COO would say something, and of course I'm 5'1", right? So here I am, like having this conversation, and I remember this one time where we were talking with a bunch of people, and they were all men, and this guy kept talking to one of my peeps, right? And he was like, oh, so I want to talk to you about Access Replay. And I remember just looking at him and I said, so if you want a decision made about Access Replay, then you need to talk to me about it, not him. And he was just kind of like, oh, I'm so sorry, right? And I think that our ability to be able to call people out on their bullshit, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but at the end of the day, Christina, don't be apologetic about what you said. Like, we don't apologize, right, for being who we are. And I think that your thought process of, I'm not going to listen to that BS, I think was more, that's what I got from it versus like, I'm going to ignore it and then not say anything about it. But I think that we all need to just call people out when we see things happening, right? And I think that Nesli said it really well. We're all in this industry together where we just have so many, we don't have enough support, right? And creating our own ecosystem of supporters and allies is just as important. And the more that we impact our own circles, the more that those people are going to impact their circles. And I think that that's how we start making and influencing people. And also creating opportunities for other women, right? I teach my daughter, she tells me that I'm the only parent that she knows who makes their kid play video games. Like, I make her practice. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're not going to ever be good, right, if you don't practice. But, you know, all the things that you guys are doing to bring younger girls into the mix so that it becomes the norm, right? I mean, when you look at Toys R Us and all of the gaming and, you know, games and toys and video games are in the boys' aisle, like, how can as a female compete? I didn't start playing until I was 20. So, you know, I mean, my daughter has been playing video games since she was 2. Right. And so, you know, you look at that disparity in any sport or anything that you do and the 10,000 hours and millions of hours of practice. Right. You have to start young. And that's how we start to make and create that normalcy.
So anyone listening, please download a game to your nephews, sisters, phone, computer, everybody. Let's just create the ripple effect of gaming. Let's please play with them, teach them your tips and tricks so that we can grow stronger as female gamers and gaming enthusiasts, maybe.
And I know that Bukula has unmuted. By the way, Lori, I can challenge you to one game. I used to be very good at Tetris. So I can challenge you to that. I've been thinking.
Oh, that's the one game I'm not very good at. So
I will join that challenge. I'm a Tetris player. I will join that challenge.
Lori, come play Fortnite for me on Saturday. We have a bunch of celebs playing this weekend.
Well, I told you I'll challenge you. I didn't necessarily say I was good, but I just love it, and I love the challenge. But more importantly, I have a good time, and I get to meet a lot of cool gamers. And I have to tell you all, I'm a pacifist, which is why I always win by default, and I never ever shoot anybody in the game. So it's just fun. It's even what you guys are all saying, and I keep going back to, you know, everybody that we talk about here. We have to start in the whole education and starting the conversation. And once you start the conversation, it's like you also have to kind of like switch the dynamic of the room, because if we all can get called abrasive and like, you know, we're too aggressive and all that. And I always start by listening and, you know, being quiet. And then I always ask a question, and I'm always, which sometimes sounds obnoxious, I'm like, how's that going? Because you see that we're not getting the answers that we want, and we're not getting the results that we want. And in order to do that, we really have to start that conversation and start to see, you know, I always tell people, turn the lens. Like, what does it look like from their perspective? And is there a sense of humor? Like, now we have to explain to them why we don't see that as a funny comment. You know, why is it that is offensive to a woman? Why is even, you know, the old construction workers were whistling at women walking down the street, right? And that was a compliment to them. They weren't doing that in their minds to insult us, but at the same time, that's very degrading. And being judged by looks and not being judged by our smarts. Like, in order to do that, it's like I always am very, very quiet when something is going on. And then that's when somebody asks me, is everything okay? And I'm like, well, how do you view what just happened if you switched the lens and you were me? And I've been out, I'm sorry, I'm babbling for a little bit, but I've been on panels where I'm the only woman on the panel, and then they'll ask a question about inclusion and diversity, and the men will answer. And then I raised my hand and I said, it's interesting because I'm the one that should be answering this question. So would you allow me the chance to it? And it's like they have like a light bulb go off in their head because they didn't push the issue and I answered the question, but I let them answer the question. And I said, you can't answer a question when you haven't walked in that person's shoes. Like, And so let the person in the room have their voice and give them the chance to shine and answer it. So maybe you can actually listen. And I always tell people you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them, listen, and then interject when you have something intelligent to say that you can possibly change where this conversation is going. But we're doing it, ladies. I mean, that's just the truth. Like we're not quiet and silent anymore. And you hear it throughout the world. And that's what I think is so amazing on this panel is hearing the stories outside of America and then understanding that we have a long way to go, but we're going to get there. Sorry, went off on a tangent. Apologize.
No, I love the optimism there, Laurie. I agree with you that this is, these are very important conversations and everybody is fantastic. I'm just blown away. When you guys were introducing yourselves as well, I just wanted to keep clapping. Oh, wow. But Bukola, I know that you unmuted a little while back, right? So you wanted to add something, you wanted to say something on the previous points.
Yeah. So on diversity and inclusion, I know we've spoken extensively on the gender point, but I also wanted to kind of add some of the areas of inclusion or potential areas of inclusion. So for us, as an example, part of what we started doing was to try to create our own local IP based on our local stories. So we licensed the book to make into a video game, and the journey, and we're still at along this process to make a mobile game. But the journey, part of the problem is, of course, if we don't have game development as an example in our curriculum, to find talent who can do the work, becomes a problem as well. Down the line, and so we're experiencing a lot of that going through this process. But what that tells me is that, of course, there's work to be done, but the desire that people have when they hear what we're trying to do is quite important. And I say that to say that, in terms of being able to tell our own stories and to be able to own our stories, I think it's quite important. So for us to be able to do that through the lens of video games, which is really immersive, is a new way of storytelling. And I think that's another element of diversity and inclusion that I think that Zambia lens to kind of look at it. The other point on the game jam competition that we did with the Nigerian students and the UK students, and the finals on Monday, but I watched the video today and I was very, very delighted by it, that though we don't have it in our curriculum, you have amazing parents and kids who have shown a desire, and their parents have kind of listened. And so they've gone through this process of trying to make a game from scratch. And the difference between how they represent their games and how the UK students represent their games is different because they've been taught. However, the depth of the thinking is really interesting in what we've seen. So just from an inclusion point of view, I think for us that I know a few people are actually on the panel about education, educating about gender issues, educating about the need to play-based learning into curriculum, even STEAM and things like that, to get our children engaging their creativity early and to be able to have the IPs of the future as well. And last but not least is the fact that African servers for major video games rarely exist. I know the mobile esports ones are a bit different, but League of Legends, Fortnite, kids play Fortnite and they keep telling me, I'm lagging, mom, I'm lagging, they're killing me. Anyway, but the point is, just from an inclusion point of view as well, it would be great to get top PC games having platforms or servers on the continent. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bukola. I think that's excellent. All of the work that you're doing is so important, and same here in Pakistan, right? So game jams last year, we did one. We want to do one again. We saw other game jams happen by other gaming studios. There are no proper curriculum, even at the university level. There used to be, I heard, in some universities, which was dismantled. So instead of moving forward, we've moved backward. So there is so much work to be done at the base level, but I think, I think everybody's doing their part. So, and hopefully it'll create a momentum. The best news is, though, that kids love video games. So at some point in time when they're becoming older, it'll be very difficult for people to say, no, you can't do this anymore or whatever. But look, so I know that we're just on our last 7 minutes. So I'm going to move around the room, starting with Amna, and ask you guys to, leave us with a message for the audience, right? So other women who are aspiring esports professionals, what would you recommend to them?
Well, my recommendation would be to never give up. no matter how rough the road might become, you might have mental breakdowns here and there. You might feel overwhelmed, stressed, and everything. Just do not give up and always focus on the goal that why did you pursue this career, and just don't give up halfway. Keep on going, because once you reach at the end of the line, it will be all worth it for all your hard work, for all the sleepless nights, for all the fights that you've been battling alone. And yeah, just don't give up.
Thank you. Christina.
Gosh, what to say? I think what's important is to be authentically yourself, to make sure that what you're bringing to the table is not tempered and toned for the expectations of men.
Okay, Izzy.
One tip that I can give is surround yourself with mentors that support you. I think it's really important to have people to look up to and have people that are not that are like honest to you and like criticize you in an honest way, rather than like listening to the general public all the time.
Allie.
If there's not room at the table, pull up a freaking chair. Like, I mean, you know, really, I think that's my mantra about those types of things, and it's worked really well for me. Where, you know, they don't know until they know, and I feel like it's our we need to keep these conversations going and communicating, and pull up the chair, guys, because there's enough room. Maybe not for 6 feet, you know, but we'll soon be vaccinated enough.
Okay, what about you, Nestle?
Yeah, I would say dare to dream big, because there's a whole ocean outside the fishbowl that you put yourself in mentally. Like right now, you have invited us from Pakistan. I'm in Istanbul working for a company in Sweden. We were together with Christina with a Dell Technologies panel, Women in Games panel from America. So there I see I have many allies, many sisters, many colleagues that have the same passions, same abilities, same interests and knowledge levels. So we are out there, we can be global. Please don't, I did that, so please don't do that. Don't think that you can only make it within your own little environment. There's a whole world out there, so there are ample possibilities. Please dare to dream big and reach out to people. We would most definitely help you, help each other. Everyone is, as far as I met, everyone is incredibly accepting and helpful. I'm talking about the women, especially in gaming and esports. So reach out, ask, what can I do? How can I do? How can I jump this hurdle that I'm experiencing right now? So dream big. That would be my advice, maybe.
Very well stated. Yes, Bukola.
My own guide would just be rewrite the rules. It's like, just pull up a chair. Like, don't be defined by what other people say. And I think that's really, really important. The second thing I would say is find your voice. And I know sometimes it takes a while for you to know, what your voice is, or to know how to use it. But find your voice and use your voice, because by using your voice, everybody I said on this panel, there are people, both men and women actually, who need your voice to help them through as well. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, Laurie.
I echo everything that you said. Every time I meet anybody, I always ask, what's your superpower? So find your superpower and actually share it with the world, because that's what they're there for. They're there to make the world a better place. And we all are superheroes. I know it sounds so cliche, but once you find that, and then you find your voice, and then you find your audience, and keep telling your story. If you want to be successful at anything, everybody you meet, let them know what your mission is and let them know what you're about. And people will listen and be inspired. And if you can create that, that's how you create movements. That's how you create change. And then be authentic and true to yourself, and make sure you understand who you are before you go out there. And be your own person, be your own woman. And I always say, pave your own pathway, and make it fun and exciting. Because I always say, if it ain't fun, I don't want to do it anymore. And like I told you guys at the beginning, I do have the coolest job on the planet Earth. And You know, it's a joy every day, and it's not work. It's my passion. It's my mission. And if we can change the world, you know, one game at a time, and we become a global community that is diverse and inclusive without borders, that's what I'm all about. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to change the world together.
Thank you so much, Lori. So beautiful messages. Okay, I'll quickly scribble them down. Never give up. Be authentic. Surround yourself with mentors. I really like that one, by the way. That's really important. With an honest way of criticizing you and constructive feedback. Pull up a freaking chair. Oh my God, do you have dibs on it or can I use it?
You can absolutely use that.
Okay, dare to dream big. Absolutely. The ocean is out there. Don't limit yourself to a fishbowl. Rewrite the rules. Very beautiful again. And find your voice. Own yourself. Find your superpower. I think all of that is really relevant. One of the things that I do want to share, the older I get, so part of what you were saying earlier, right? I used to be that way. But with all of the years on this planet, I'm becoming furious. I'm becoming angry. My sense of tolerance has just gone down, right? So if somebody is not talking straight to me, I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. You know what? Just go, whatever, you know. So anyway, so I think it was fantastic having you guys. Lovely messages. Love the energy. All the support that you guys are, you know, offering to everybody. My only advice to everyone who's been listening to this, please reach out. So all of them are available on LinkedIn. Reach out. If you need help, you have to come to the source, right? So there's another saying in Pakistan which says that the person who's thirsty goes to the well. The well will never walk towards you. So just do that and see the magic happen. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Have a great day.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.